kayak bass tournament. And the way that kayak bass tournaments work, they go to multiple lakes. You can fish multiple lakes. And at those lakes, you take a snapshot of the bass that you catch, and then you turn that in, and it's the number of inches, how long that bass is. That's how they measure that. And this is the big bass winner there, Kenneth Little. His bass was pretty big. Look at that. That was over 25 inches, 23 inches in length. 23.25 is the length of that fish. So big bass there. Again, the winner was Dustin Wheeler. He had over 94 inches of bass that he was able to measure. So had a great tournament. There were over 95 anglers at those 3 lakes. And that's a great turnout for the bass tournament. Kayak fishing really getting going, becoming a great sport.
Hey everybody, this was my pre-fish before the Oklahoma Kayak Angler Stop number 2 Easter Roadrunner. The Roadrunner event means that you could fish one of the offered lakes. In this case, it was Yucha, Spavina, and the lake with many names, Pumpback, Chimney Rock, and WR Holloway. This was my second time at this lake, and all I knew about it, it was very deep and it has lots of rock and lots of brush piles. It has all 3 species of bass, including trophy-sized smallmouth. According to rules, we were allowed to practice until 6 p.m. Friday before the tournament. I got on the water at 1 o'clock, so I had solid 5 hours to fish. Didn't seem like a lot, but it was my only option. The plan for the pre-fish was to find brush piles and check the coves for spawning fish. This lake is pretty deep, reaches up to 180 feet in some areas, and it has very steep banks. I knew I had to fish deeper and mostly rely on electronics to locate the fish. The problem was that the lake was super low, about 15 to 20 feet low, and lots of brush piles were out of the water. But I managed to find a couple of brush piles. There were fish on them, and they were following my bait, but they wouldn't commit. And they would just stay close tight to the brush pile. They come out maybe like 5 feet out, and they would just go back. I only had a couple of bites. They were either short striking or biting the tail of my little 3-inch swim bait. I didn't know what was the issue. Was it a color or presentation? It was kind of weird, but I did have lots of followers, and for some reason they just didn't commit. I went to check shallow water into the coves and see if I can find spawning or staging fish. I found lots of shad in the cove. Almost every cove had tons of bait in it. Heading back to the ramp, I didn't really have a solid plan or area where I'm gonna start the tournament morning. All I knew is that I'm going to launch at this boat ramp and probably will go fishing, maybe explore some new water.
Good morning, everybody. It's tournament morning. It's a local tournament, Oklahoma Kayak Anglers. We were fishing Pumpback Lake. The lake is pretty low, but this lake fluctuates. And I only yesterday realized why it's called Pumpback, because they can drain the water, but also they can pump the water in. Goal, like always, catch 5 fish. Hopefully we get it done. It's definitely would be a learning experience for sure. It's about 42 degrees outside, slight wind. The water where I'm at is 56 degrees, but I think water warms up to 65 in the pockets maybe. It's a very deep lake, so deep and cleanish. Oklahoma clean, I would say. We're sitting in like 70 feet of water right now, and it's 80 feet off the bank. Fish smashing bait while I'm sitting waiting for lines in. Starting. Let's go, boys and girls.
but they started pretty slow. I've seen fish on the graph, they would come up to eat shad but would not touch my baits. Just like in practice, they would follow but not eat. I flipped sunken trees, I threw chatterbait, medium diving crank, I dragged Carolina and Texas rig, and nothing. 2 hours, I haven't had a bite. I knew I have to make a change. So I switched to a jerkbait, and again, fish would come up and follow it, but the second it got close to my jerkbait, it would turn around and swim off. At some point I noticed that if I worked jerkbait faster, fish would follow it more aggressive. Two and a half hours and my first keeper. I knew that this jerkbait will be locked in my hands until the end of the day. If you ever fish jerkbait for a whole day, you know the feeling afterwards. Like your arm about to fall off, but I didn't care. Very slow, but surely. Look at this smallie. Good job, buddy. Thank you. 2 fish in 4 hours. Basically took me half a day to catch them. I just had to grind it out until the end of the day. Just lock that jerkbait in my hands and keep on working it. I'm having a couple of followers right now, and I can't catch up with them. As soon as I stop my jerkbait, they would just swim off. 3 fish on the board, and we need only 2 more, and we have almost 3 hours. My day was pretty slow, and my confidence level was very low first 4 hours of fishing. But at that point, I knew that we could probably fill up the limit. I went to a pocket right next to a spot where I caught 2 fish, and I noticed bait balls shallow. They weren't there earlier in the morning. I figured bass pushed the bait shallow against the bank and was just hammering them.
God damn.
Number 4. There were a couple more with this fish, a little wolfback snacking on bait. I knew I'm going to finish my day in this pocket. Okay, I see bait and bass is really locked on this bait. My first thought, I can catch him on an A-rig.
What the fuck are they doing?
But no, they weren't really interested. They didn't even follow it. Next, I tied on the classic winning Demicky rig, a Demicky jig head with Zeman jerk sheds. Cast it into the bait balls and slow retrieve. Well, she's short, but she's a pretty big one. I don't know, let's weigh her. Well, 4-pounder.
Here she goes.
It's 1 o'clock and we got ourselves a limit, 75 3/4. Now it's time to submit the fish to CharneyX app. 5 fish in 6.5 hours. I mean, it's a grind. 1.5 hours left until the line's out. I'm going to try to upgrade now, and I'm staying in this cove. I have 2 small fish, 12 and 13.5. I need to call. pretty good call, plus 5.5 inches. That puts me in total 81.25 for 5 fish limit. I fished till lines out 2:30 in this cove, but I couldn't get more bites. I felt like I got my share for today. Heading back to the ramp, wasn't really sure if I got into top 10. Turned out I placed 8 out of 95. Not a bad result, I think. Definitely was learning experience for me. I really appreciate your watching my videos. I hope you like them. Catch me on the next one. See you on the water.